Hi there. I want to give you some answers and some tools and provide you with some responses to the people that say really inappropriate things sometimes. This series of videos, if you want to jump in and get a little help and a little support with what you're going through, is going to be really helpful. It started actually from a much bigger program that I put together called Honor Your Loss, Honor Your Life. But as it turns out, some people that are newer in the process of dealing with the loss of their child aren't ready for all the honor their own life business. So I put out a poll and I asked people, a bunch of questions, and what came back the strongest were three main topics, and this is going to be the first one, which is, I'm just checking my notes on my computer, how to talk to people, how to ask for help, and how to respond to inappropriate comments. Because if you've been on this journey for even a week, I'm sure you've heard some really wild statements, and in truth, I believe people are coming from a good spot, in at least a neutral place, but I believe that people feel or think that they are being supportive, that what they are saying is helpful, and that in somehow they're just being good people. But I suspect, like I know now through my own experiences, that sometimes the things people say just make me so angry. And I had to learn how to deal with that, because it occurred to me it wasn't always appropriate to punch people as much as I might have wanted to. And so that's why I'm putting together this training for you. So my name is Kitty Howard. Kitty's short for Catherine. And it was a really long and difficult struggle for me to learn how to not only just cope with at the beginning, but endure the loss of my son Tristan. He was my only child. He was just the love of my life. And in 2008, he was diagnosed with cancer. So this was in November, and they told us that we'd be home for Christmas if treatment went well. And apparently it didn't, because I was the only one that went home for Christmas. 3.5 weeks after Tristan's diagnosis, he died from infection while in hospital going through treatment for his cancer. And I was on my own, although well supported by friends. And I've spent the last 10 years putting my life back together, figuring out what works and what doesn't work for me. And now I share this with other people. I know that what works for me now technically worked for me at the beginning, but it took me a while to see it and put everything into play. But that is why I'm making this much smaller and much more focused, so that you can get some free training now in this video. And if you want more, it'll be available to you. You can actually buy this entire course at the end. But I want to tell you all about what is in this program. It's going to be a series of talks, and it's going to be really broken down so that you don't have to go through an entire 1 hour video to get to the piece that is important for you right now, or important for you a month from now when you need it then. So when I put out a poll a little while ago, I had people respond and let me know that this communication piece was really important to them. It was a constant and ongoing struggle in their life. It is a constant and ongoing struggle, and they needed to learn how to address it. So I reached out further and I asked them, what specifically is it that you're experiencing that you want this help with? And a lot of answers came back. So I'm going to make each question and each answer its very own video. So again, you'll just look at it if you buy it, and you will see that this is the topic that I need to address today. And what it really comes down to when we are trying to figure out how to talk to people, how to ask for help, and how to respond to those inappropriate statements or comments, The real commonality here is communication. We need to learn how to speak to people about what we're feeling. And that is hard on the best of days. And these are not the best of your days. So how do we do it? Well, we practice. We plan in advance and we practice. And this is why I'm creating these videos, so that you can watch it, write notes if you need to, make some adaptations that apply specifically to your situation, such as the first question Lauren asked, and she said, something that has always stumped me is when people say he's in a better place. So for you, you may have lost a daughter, so your adaptation would be, somebody has said to me, and it's frustrating to my situation, that she is in a better place. So that is what I mean when I say that you might need to adapt the script I'm providing for you so that you can get used to it, make it fit your situation, and then practice it at home with yourself in the mirror or with a trusted friend who's been very supportive and helpful and honest and open with you, the one who will listen and be quiet in the moment so that you can express what you're going through and work out your frustrations in the process. Again, communicating on a regular basis can be a super huge challenge. I used to have struggles, apparently I still do, even putting a sentence together, right? Sometimes. So when we're dealing with those deep, harder emotions, it's even more challenging. It's, we have brain fog, that grief fog, and it's sometimes hard just to find our words, to put a sentence together. God, there's days where it's hard to breathe or even get out of bed. So communication is something that is necessary, but totally a challenge. So that is why it's important to prepare, have an idea about what the situation is that you're going to be walking into, and have a response to people or an answer or some kind of helpful tidbit that will show them and teach them how it's going to be better that they can support you. I hope I said that right. Anyway, so let's go through some of the questions that people had asked. I already mentioned number one, that Lauren, I don't ever really know where to look on the camera, so if my eyes are kind of all over the place, that's what's happening. So I know I'm supposed to be looking over here, but sometimes I look at the other side of the screen. So what am I going to be covering in this series of videos? I already mentioned number one, when Lauren said that something that has always stumped me is when people say he's in a better place. So how do you deal with that? Because honestly, isn't the better place here with you, where they're in reach of you and huggable and lovable, and where you can watch them grow up and hit all their milestones and have all those beautiful things that we anticipated to be a part of their lives? Like that's the better place. Heaven, or wherever it is that people might go, and whatever your belief system is, it sounds lovely, but in truth, like I would do anything to be able to have my boy back here with me. So, we can express this to people, and we can say things like, I don't agree with you. I don't think he's in a better place. I know he might not be in pain if there was an illness involved, or I appreciate the sentiment of him in a heavenly and divine environment, and that sounds wonderful, but I still want him here with me, or her. I love him, I love my child so much that I wish nothing more for them to still be here with me. So to me, it doesn't feel like a better place, and I would appreciate if you didn't say that to me again, and that would be helpful. So that's an example of a response that we can have prepared in advance to give to somebody. And you're going to maybe use different words than what I'm using, but the sentiment can be the same. And when we have time at home to practice, when we know that we're going to be out at the grocery store and maybe bumping into people that we know, or at a social event, or a family holiday celebration, which doesn't feel too celebratory when we're dealing with our grief and the loss of our child. So to have some responses in advance prepared is a great gift, something that you can practice and work towards. But let's go through what the other videos are going to include. And I won't give you all the answers now, but I want you to know that you're going to be able to log in and check out each of these individually and know by their topics exactly which one you can watch that day, whatever you feel that you need some answers to, because that's important. That's all the preparation I'm talking about. Number 2, Sarah asked, how do I deal with family members who are focusing on their own struggles? Sarah recognizes that she's struggling, and she can see that her family and the people around her are also mourning or grieving, but she's not in a position to be supportive because she's the mother. She's got the weight of this on her, and she doesn't know what they want from her, what to expect from her, or how she's supposed to be able to balance that, because that sounds like something else to put on her to-do list that she's not prepared for. Number 3, how do I respond when they say, it's been 6 months, you should be over this by now. You should be back to work, back at it, and back to yourself. Well, no, just no. You don't need to be anything in 6 months. You don't need to be anything in a year or 3 years. You are now a different person. You have experienced something tragic, and that changes people. So what people are really saying is that they miss who you are, who you were. They don't recognize this version of you. And for some people, that's scary to see when somebody they know and they care about changes so much. When this sadness and this depression sets in, it's devastating for a lot of people. And it's obviously, it's devastating for you and me, what we're experiencing, what we went through, what we're going through. But in a way, they have these people that are wanting you to be over it, to be back to normal, to be better. They miss you. They miss that person that you were. And they're trying to support you and encourage you to be back to that person. But what we really need to express is that I'm not going to be that person again because I am changed. So in that video, we go into how we can actually respond to that, how we can share some of this new story about this person that we are now, who we are becoming, because it's changed. Number 4, Shanti says, my mom and I were estranged for 8 years before my child died. And now she blames me for not being able to say goodbye. Is it my fault? I don't feel like it's my fault. And I don't think that any blame needs to be put on Shanti. I had a challenging relationship with my own mother, so I recognize that struggle. And it's hard for people because people want closure. And Shanti's mom wanted some kind of access to a closure, I suspect. So how do we really dive into that when somebody didn't get what they wanted out of the relationship and they feel like we were the person that created that situation, and that they don't realize that they were also a big part of that situation happening. The mother is responsible for her part, at least, of the relationship. And we'll go into how to deal with that, how to respond, what to say. Number 5, someone compared their miscarriage to the death of my teenager, and I don't think it's the same. Is it? In truth, no loss is the same. Everybody's experience is different, because everyone's relationship is different, because we are all different. So the relationship that I had with my child is completely different from the relationship you have had with your child. It's different than the relationship that we have with our parents, which is still a parent-child situation. All and every relationship is unique. So all of our experiences are going to be different. I actually once had a woman not that long ago, and I'm happy that I was able to respond in a positive way, one that was educational and not angry. So a couple months ago, I was meeting with a woman, a local business owner. She was younger, in her 20s, and in the health field. So she shared with me about the training that she does. She shared with me about the supplements that she sells. And I thought she might be somebody good to connect with, because I believe nutrition and physical activity during our grief process is a really good piece and a very important piece to our healing journey. So when she finished, it was my turn. And I expressed to her about why I do grief work, why I put on retreats, why I put together workshops, and why I work with people individual over the internet or the phone or in person in my home, depending on where we all live, right? Anyway, and that reason, of course, is what I shared with you earlier, that I'm an experienced griever. I've had lots of losses, including all of my grandparents, both of my uncles, most of my aunts, and just want to get that screen back up. And of course, the most devastating loss to me, which was my son in 2008. Since then, I've also lost several close friends, because we're of this age now where that happens. And when I shared with her about my son, she looked at me and goes, "I know exactly how you feel. I lost my cat last summer." And I'm like, "Girl, you don't know." But people believe that because they're raising and caring for something, it's the same, and it is not. So one of the helpful educational pieces I was able to gift her with that day was this. I said, "Teresa, I want you to listen to me carefully. You're at an age, you're 28 years old, and I appreciate the space you're in. I know, and I'm certain that a lot of your friends are thinking about marriage, or already married, maybe having kids, maybe planning on having kids. And the truth behind family planning is that 1 in 4 women will have a miscarriage. 1 in 4. And that is a very high number. And we don't really understand that because people don't talk about it. It's one of the reasons we're told to maybe not share our pregnancies in our first trimester, so people become even more isolated. And I shared with Teresa that she should never, ever, ever share that story with anybody in the future when she has the opportunity to do so again. I said, "Your cat is not the same as my child. Your cat was a pet. It was not something you carried in your womb. It was something that you loved, and I appreciate your loss, and I'm sure that was very painful for you, but it is not the same. The same way that the death of my child is not the same as the death of your grandparent or even my own grandparent. They're all different, but it is the most heaviest, horrible, heartbreaking situation I have ever experienced it again. So keep the death of your cat relative to when somebody else has lost a cat, and maybe even then keep it to yourself." These are some of the things that we can express to other people. Okay, number 6, how do I respond when somebody and we're still in that space, when somebody compares another death, like an 80-year-old grandparent or a parent or even their pet. It makes me furious. So I've pretty much addressed that, but that'll be separate from comparing a miscarriage to an older child. And I'm going to break those up into different spaces. Number 7, how do you tell people the truth without being mean or ungrateful? I know people are trying, but I'd rather they just shut up if they don't know what to say. And that's a very honest thing. That is a very honest place to come from. We know that, I think, and if we don't, we should at least try to understand that people are attempting to come from a good and supportive place. They don't always know what to say, and based on their personal life experiences before right now, that's what they were taught was appropriate. And we learn, being in our own situations, that it makes us feel terrible, like awful. And so we need to be able to, again, communicate that. And that's why we're planning this out. That's why these videos are going to be here for you. And if you choose to get them, and I really think you should because they're really helpful, it will be a game changer for you every time you go out into public, to have something prepared, to know what you're going to say, because people will continue to say silly things. We will continue to meet new people. We will continue to be put in awkward situation. Oh, a bonus one I'm going to put in, I didn't write it down, is what do you say when people ask how many children? I'm writing it down. When somebody says, how many children do you have? What do you say then? How do you respond to that? It's awkward. And we also cover that in a separate series, which is the anxiety and panic related series. I'll make sure that there's a link somewhere that you can find either on my website at kittyhoward.com or anywhere else that you might be able to find me, but that's the easiest and the best place to go, kittyhoward.com. Now, if you're interested in any other support, you can always reach out to me through the website as well on the contacts page. And what I want to do as well is with this program, although I'm starting with those 8 videos, there's going to be 8 videos. They won't all be this long because each is going to be individual. Each is going to be a specific question answer so that you're able to access it quick and easy and not have to dig through another video like this where I'm covering everything all together in the same recording. So it'll be separate for you. But there will also be another series of videos and they'll keep coming out. What I want to do with this one is that if you have new questions, more questions, a different experience that's not included in the original 8 videos, I want you to, inside the program, write down or send me an email about the question that you're struggling with or the situation that you're struggling with, and then I will add a new video. So everybody that owns this original set of 8 will keep getting the updates and have access to new videos each time a situation comes up where you need a new answer to a new situation, because they just keep happening, and this is something that we continue to live with. As I mentioned, my Tristan died in 2008. I still have people occasionally say really silly things like the lady about her cat. So it doesn't just end one day. That continues to happen. So what I will do is continue to add into the program. So anybody who buys the program today will have access to not only the original 8 videos, but then additional videos, and also have the ability to ask any of your own questions that aren't covered already so that they can be added in future videos. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this free training. If you want to deep dive into the situations and the pressing, repetitive things, the common situations that people will find themselves in, then go ahead and click the Buy Now button down below, and then you have lifetime access to all of the videos. And of course, you get a 7-day money back guarantee, 100%. If you don't dig the first few videos, then you can ask for your money back and I will give it to you. But I'm sure you will find these very helpful. I'm sure they will serve you in your journey through grief and loss. And if you need or ever want any more support, a different version of support, whether on retreat with us, we go to Costa Rica sometimes. If you want to work with me one-on-one, there are other options available to you, and you can reach out to me anytime through kittyhoward.com. So I hope this free training served you. I hope it gave you some ideas, and if you want more, then just dive right in. And remember, you can it's like getting free sessions, right? By just being able to ask questions over again, because you own the program. But that's only available to people that keep it and who stay enrolled. So that's it for now. I'm Kitty Howard. I'm so sorry that you are on this journey and having to go through all of this, and I hope that I can be included as one of the people on your support team now. All right, I'm sending you love and courage and radiance. Take care. Bye now. Make sure you don't miss out on this deal. I don't know how long it's going to last. I don't know how long it's going to be up on this website, or if it'll even be available long term. So make sure you buy it today, and then you'll always have access to it. All right. Love, courage, and radiance from Kitty Howard to you during this really difficult time.